Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are on a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Arn. And of course, we couldn't do it without the founder of the Four Horsemen, the creator of the Spine Buster. He is Double A. He is the enforcer. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you, man?
I am absolutely great. I am. My blood's been bubbling. Feels good. Have you ever just kind of been floating through life and something happens that just really pisses you off, makes you just incredibly angry, and at that moment in time, you've never felt more alive? Had one of those situations?
I think so.
I'm having an extended anger fit.
Okay.
Which is, it feels good. It feels good to be alive. It feels good to not be a victim anymore, because that ain't who I am. Predator, always. Victim, never. So my blood's boiling. It's got me percolating. Going back and living through my career is always fun. I'm reminded of some great things. Thank you very much. Thanks to our audience for being patient. And some of it's slow rolling, but sometimes you got to slow down to really get a grip on it.
Well, I'm pretty pumped about it. Check it out every Wednesday night on Dynamite. You never know what's going to happen, but we know what's going to happen today. We're going to talk about April of 1986. Let's jump right into it. April 5th, 1986 is the first weekend where we get some syndicated programming. And we also, of course, have the WTBS show. But before we jump into hearing from you, you know what? We'll go ahead and start with you. We'll let you say your piece here on Worldwide. And then Ron Garvin has a few choice words for you on the TBS show.
Wahoo McDaniel. In most situations, Tony Giovanni, in order to get a title shot, you got to beat contenders and go in chronological order. But they've shoved Wahoo McDaniels right to the top of the heap simply because he's a legend, and for years and years, he's beat the best that was anywhere. Well, that's fine, Wahoo. You're coming after this. You got 20 minutes to get it. The question on my mind, and it's deep in your mind, have you still got what it takes to last 20 minutes with any Anderson, period?
So that was a localized promo, and at the bottom it had the address, had the phone number, had the date and the bell time. And boy, that was critical to the business. And it feels like that would have been a marathon day. You told us before that they would get a bunch of chicken and you guys would knock them out one after another. Who do you think became the master of that craft? Was there one guy that everybody would say, hey, I want to watch this when it came time to cut those localized promos? Did one stand out above all the others?
Well, let me think. It was where you learned how to draw money, and interview day is where we drew our money, because we personalized every town. local interviews. You could talk about the town, talk about your match, hammer your angle, and most importantly, let everyone watching know who and what you were and what you were all about. Can't stress enough how important interviews were. I think the guy that really got red hot, that just looked through the camera and came right into your living room, was probably Magnum. I mean, every word he said, I believed him.
Yeah, it's very believable.
And he had fire in his eyes. And he was a big, jacked up, handsome, physical specimen. So there was nothing that he was lacking. And I would always love watching his promos. And, it's just one of those guys that you remember, you went, whoa, okay, I got it. Anytime you can listen to Cornette and the Midnight Express, it's an entertainment segment on its own. But Magnum was the one that you left there going, damn, I can't wait to see this guy fight.
Well, here's one that you're going to have to deal with. Looks like you're going to be in a situation here with Mr. Ron Garvin. He's got some choice words. This is from April 5th, 1986 on TBS.
We mentioned it earlier, still to come here today on our program, Ron Garvin, a rematch for that World TV title against Arn Anderson, the champion.
Well, first of all, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be a professional wrestler. Professional wrestling has been my life. Of course, I'm still after Ric Flair, but there's a lot of other titles around, like the National Heavyweight title, the World Television title. And Arn Anderson has an open contract. I'm a hustler. I go out and hustle for what I want, for what I've got. So you can't lay down at home and think about, well, I want this, I want that. No, you got to go out and you got to do it, see? And every time there's a title on the line, there's an open contract that it's available for me to put my name on the dotted line, I'll be there. And Arn Anderson, you have an open contract, and you made a statement on TV, there is two kinds of people that have things and people that want things. Well, to have things, you got to want them. You're looking at somebody that wants it bad, you see, and I'm going to do it. Now, the James Crockett Memorial Cup, the only thing I can say about it is Magnum Tia and I got it together. You know what I'm saying? We got it together as a team. Thank you.
All right, Ron Garvin.
Did you crack up every time you heard him say, I'm proud to be an American?
He's Canadian.
I know. It's fucking hilarious. It gets me every time.
You know what? He's lying, ain't he?
I mean, I don't know why these baby faces keep coming out here and telling half truths and mistruths. Why don't they? I think you were given a raw deal. You weren't a heel. You were a baby face. You were stone cold baby face.
Let me tell you something, what I've always said. A lot of times the good guys are the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys.
I've heard that.
It's absolutely accurate.
Well, let's hear from one bad guy now. Arn's going to respond on April 5th.
The World TV champion Arn Anderson has a very, very tough title defense today.
Have you ever seen a nicer group of guys in your life? Probably not. On a serious note, Tony Giovanni, topic of discussion today, Ronnie Garvin, you come out here claiming to be a bad apple. Just a few short weeks ago, I gave you one chance at greatness right here on national television. Well, now I'm going to show you what kind of champion I've professed to be, Tony Giovanni. I don't come out here and flap my yap just to hear myself talk. You understand? When I won this title, I told you I'd be the greatest world television champion in history. I would come out here on national television, do what no champion has ever done, put my reputation, put my meal ticket on the line, week in, week out. Have I done that?
Yes, you have.
Against top contenders. Dusty Rhodes never did it. Everybody claims, well, you never beat Dusty for this title. This is mine, Rhodes. Don't put any claim to it because I've paid the price. This is mine. I've earned it. And if you want to take a good look at this face, take a good look at this face. I earn it every night. I fight them all, right from Wahoo McDaniels, Magnum, Manny Fernandez, right down to you, Dusty. You take a good look at this face. Ain't nothing pretty about me. But the fact is, I'm an Anderson. It's inbred into me. I can't help being the fact that I am a man full of pride and guts. So, Ronnie Garvin, you want another shot?
right here on national television. I'm going to give you a shut your mouth. I'm going to give you one more shot at greatness. But when it's all said and done, I want all these people to shut up. I want everybody in this country of ours to realize I am the world television champion. I'm going to be the world television champion until I see fit to relinquish it. And once again, it's been your pleasure.
Buddy, that was fun.
Don't say it. I know you're going to say it.
About inbred?
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, man, you've said it 2 or 3 times around the show, and listen, everybody's got a deep, dark secret. We know yours now.
No cousins.
It's fine.
No, not even third cousins.
Listen, I forgive you and Uncle Daddy. It turned out okay.
Hold it. I misspoke. We need to leave it there. It is not a point of contention for you to laugh your ass off the rest of the show.
I'm going to.
I misspoke. Not inbred. I was bred in Anderson, not inbred. No cousins, no aunts, no uncles, no kin. Perfect strangers are the ones that you marry that are totally different bloodlines. That's it. Got it?
I got it. Of course, we know that you guys are going to have a match that day. Let's take a listen to the end of it. I'm letting you off the hook.
Yes, you are. Appreciate it.
I'm being a nice guy about it. We should mention as we start to wind down this match, this is those old television rules, right? So you get X number of minutes and that's all it is. And let's listen.
Arn Anderson's in big trouble. Charlie! Okay, that's it. There's one disqualification because of Blanchard running in, David. Tully's putting the boost to him. What are they going to do to him? It's that double gourd buster. Oh, no! What are they going to do? They're trying to position him for something. Ron Garvin's out. Look at him. They're trying to position him. They got. Look, what are they going to do? Oh! He's using his boot on that right hand. Well, Arn Anderson is still the world TV champion.
Down there. You want someone to take on Double A and myself? Garvin, you're not going to be using that illegal fist. Never again. Never again. You saw to it. We saw to it. The fist of stone is out of commission forever. Simple as 1, 2, 3. There's your team for the cup.
Yeah, well, it was a team that ended that.
So let's mention what we just saw. Old Ron had you in the abdominal stretch, and he had had it on for quite a while. Didn't look like it was going your way. So the cavalry arrived, and Tully Blanchard came out in cowboy boots, blue jeans, and a button-up, leveled everything out for the Horsemen. But then they decided, you know what? We're not done getting all we need. All right, let's run a timeout right now and give you a heads up. Attention, sports bettors. Has anyone ever given you $1,000 before? Well, Jeff, our guest at this time, is trying to do just that. Welcome to the program, the king of Vegas sports gambling and America's odds maker. It's Wayne Allen Root. Wayne, how are you?
Hey, Conrad. Hey, Jeff. I'm not trying to give you $1,000 free. I'm giving you $1,000 free at vegaswinners.com. That's my website. And I know so many people in the wrestling world love to bet on football. It's an American pastime. It's now legal in most states, a majority of American states. And guys love to bet on football. But I know people get skeptical and cynical. So even though I'm the best in the world, the media calls me the king of Vegas sports gambling, even though I've assembled the best team ever, 21 great sports handicappers at vegaswinners.com, and you have 21 heroes to choose from who all are very good at what they do, I still wanted to give away $1,000 in free winners at vegaswinners.com to make everybody come, register, and do their thing.
Yeah, it seems like you've got it all over at vegaswinners.com. You've got free picks, you've got the best bets, and you're doing it every single day, not just yourself, but 21 champion sports betting experts. Dude, this feels like a deal that's too good to be true. It's fully automated. It's completely private. You'll never even speak to anyone. So Go check it out. Get $1,000. Are you listening to that? It's vegaswinners.com. Just log on to vegaswinners.com. That's vegaswinners.com. So they drug old Mr. Garvin over to the corner, wrapped his hand around the ring post. You held his arm in place, or his hand in place, while JJ held the rest of the arm in place, and totally reared back with his own boot, and the heel of the boot, wham, right up against the hand, the same hand that knocked out the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Now we've taken it out of commission. And I love that once again, Tully's out here telling the truth. A closed fist is illegal in a professional wrestling match. He should have never been doing that in the first place. He was a cheater. He was a damn dirty cheater, Arn.
Correct.
And all you guys did is make sure he couldn't cheat anymore.
Correct.
I really think that you've been miscast as a bad guy, and you did it yourself. You used to come out and say, we're not nice guys. We don't wear white hats, but you are really kind of nice guys. I mean, you're only coming out there and doing these dastardly deeds after they've cheated, and you're just trying to even things up. Rhodes shouldn't be wearing that boot. Ron Garvin shouldn't be throwing a closed fist. We all know the rules. They're just deciding not to abide by them, and it's unfair, Arn.
We're victims.
I agree totally.
If you go back and you want to put a headline above the picture of the four horsemen and the original four horsemen and the three horsemen, mostly, you look at them and put above them, we are survivors.
You were framed.
We were victims.
Yes.
But we overcame.
You did.
Because I want to put a little food for thought here. We always told everyone, okay, we are family. We are friends. If you jump on one of us, you jump on all of us. We let everybody know that up front, because when you think about it, Conrad, it was the 4 or 5 of us, including JJ, against the entire locker room. Not only Dusty's locker room, but ours as well. You don't think we had some heat in those days? There was some jealousy. You don't think there were some people wanting to see us fail? You bet. So when it's 3 or 4 against 40 other guys, you tell me, who's the victims here?
No, I don't disagree. I mean, I think you've got a case that you've been unfairly classified as a bad guy, as a heel. I mean, it's not reality. I want to mention that after April 5th, where you guys did that show, of course, in Atlanta, the WTBS taping, you're going to find yourself in Fayetteville on the 7th, working with Manny Fernandez to a draw. On the 10th, you're going to be going on last, and you're going to go to a 20-minute time limit draw against Dusty Rhodes. What do you remember about working a long match with Dusty? How would that compare to one of these sort of 6-minute affairs?
It just meant I was going to get my ass kicked for a longer period of time. And I was going to run for my life a large portion of that time. When you had an audience, like some of the audiences were, and most of them, but some of them were really so rabid, and they were so clearly divided on who they were cheering from. Sometimes you would have, like Greensboro, we had those Horsemen fans. And even if you were wrestling Dusty, you had 5/6 of the crowd cheering for Dusty, but you had 1/6 of the crowd ringside. And those 20 guys or whatever they were sounded like 200. And they would rock back and forth. And you could go 30 minutes if you needed to with Dusty. The main thing was just to keep the audience involved and, just keep the action going. And Buddy, as long as he could keep hitting me with those elbows, knocking me on my ass, they would keep cheering. And time would pass by pretty quickly, to be honest with you. I had a pretty decent gas tank in those days. I had my own pace. I wasn't one of these guys that could just go zoom, 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 zoom. But I had my own pace, and it was a lot of fun, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
Hampton, Virginia, the Coliseum would see you guys on April 11th. This time you're working with Hector Guerrero. When you wrestled a guy like Hector, who obviously been in the business longer than you, but it's sort of your home promotion. Who calls the match?
Me.
Because you're the heel.
I'm not only the heel, I'm the heel.
Yeah.
Top heels. We call the match. Here's the way it went. If you had a great match, y'all had a great match. If it stunk, Jesus Christ, Arn, what the hell happened? So we took the heat when it wasn't good, and we shared the glory when it was good. So that being the case, if I'm in charge of my own destiny, I'm running the show.
I'm not mad at that. Hey, I want to mention here that we glossed over a promo from April 5th. I still want us to hear, and then we'll jump into the 12th. But I want to play this one because it's a Mid-Atlantic one with the three horsemen, if you will, Arn, Tully, and JJ.
Fans are with us right now at ringside. Mr. James J. Dillon, Arn Anderson, the world television champion, national champion right here, Tully Blank.
You know something?
You got a couple of champions here with you.
Of course, it wasn't but a few weeks ago that the American Dream was a national champion. Baby Doll was carrying around the belt like some kind of a security blanket, and the Dream was calling the shots. He was strutting like a peacock. But it's funny how things change, because now we're calling the shots. He made us wait 4 weeks, tried to embarrass me, took us right to the wire. So now we're going to show him how it feels when the shoe's on the other foot, because American Dream is out of the running as far as contendership for the National Heavyweight Championship. And apparently that must not be sitting too well with him, because he's been on the phone to the Indian. He's got the bull rope out of the shed. He's got the Indian bringing the strap, and he's going to try and weld out a little old style justice and maybe give us an attitude adjustment. Well, they better replan, because I think that even the American Dream with the bull rope, Wahoo McDaniels with the Indian strap, have bit off more they can chew with a national heavyweight champion, world television champion, wouldn't you say?
Well, I tell you what, James J., you said it great. Arn, come on in here. Show that pretty belt off right there. You know, I think Dusty claims that when he claims this one. He claims everything, doesn't he? But, you know, in a little while, you're going to get to see what Double A and Tully Blanchard do as a tag team, and then the cup is ours, right?
Yes, Rhodes, you're a contender for every major title in the world, but it's funny to us, you don't hold anything.
All right, fans, we're going to be back. We'll have more action, right?
Man, you guys are too cool for school, wearing sunglasses indoors. You had, Tully right here with his white shirt and his dark jacket and his big white fedora. He looks almost like an extra from Scarface.
He said, yeah, Tully was, everybody hated Tully.
Sure.
Let's face it. He didn't have any fans except for the Greensboro crew. He was one of those guys that you could he oozed asshole.
Yes.
Every minute of every day. And, he's an intelligent, articulate promo, probably, underrated as far as how good he was on the mic. And he could really piss people off, and he could cover a lot of ground. And one thing I'm starting to get a sense of, and I'm feeling it, is we're reliving all these days and stuff. Tully and I are starting to be partners more.
Yep.
And we could tell. Like we would look at each other coming through the curtain and went, yeah, it's clicking. It's clicking. It's working. It's one of those things that even though we had been partners for quite some time within the Four Horsemen group, like 6 mans, 8 mans, whatever the deal was, now we're starting to concentrate on tagging, he and I, and it came together pretty quickly.
Let's jump to the 12th, April 12th. It's worldwide. We've got you and Flair doing a promo here. Let's take a listen.
World television champion Arn Anderson.
This garbage, David Crockett, I'm getting sick and tired of having to hear garbage like this. Ric Flair is the world heavyweight champion. That's all needs to be said. And this punk kid, Ricky Morton, is overstepping his boundaries. A wise man knows his limitations. I don't know if you qualify as even being a man, Morton, but my friend, you've got involved with the Four Horsemen. You jumped in bed with the big dogs, You asked Magnum TA when we were scrubbing his face in that carpet how it felt to be involved. You asked Dusty Rhodes when we broke his leg how it felt to be involved. You asked Sam Houston when we broke his arm how it felt to be involved with the Four Horsemen. Now there's Punk Kid Ricky Morton wants to jump in my family on the World Heavyweight Champion. My friend, you're on a one-way road of demise. You're on the hit list of the Four Horsemen, period. You see, David Crockett? That's twice now. That's twice that Punk has hit me when my back has been turned, and then all his friends run down to the ring and pull me off him. Next time, Martin, Double A won't be far away, brother. Tony Blanchard won't be far away, and they'll have to pull me off you with an erector set. You understand? You're not Ric Flair. You don't slap me. You don't tear off my shirt. And you don't try and embarrass 10 years of heritage and legend in the greatest sport in the world. You're talking about slapping the world champion. It doesn't happen. You got to pay your dues. And Martin, if God is my witness, I don't care where it is. I'm promising you and nobody else that every little teeny bopper in her trailing brow is going to be crying all the way home. Because I'm going to beat you to the point where nobody even recognizes you. Double A, Dusty Rhodes. Ha! Ha! Dusty Rhodes, you got your 30-day notice. You got 30 days. Pack up and leave. Because Double A and Ric Flair are taking you and Martin, woo, out of the picture, Daddy. Woo! Nobody gives me 30-day notice, not even my landlord. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Not even my landlord. Man, I'm telling you, you were having fun sneaking these little one-liners in there.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, that's how easy it was to just slip Ricky Morton into that single spot for a minute. You know what I mean? Put him in there with Ric Flair, and his stock immediately went up. You've added Ronnie Garvin. You've added, you can tell as we're progressing through the year, you're adding, you know, more opponents and for the Horsemen. And if it became an angle for Rick, it could be a match with Tully. Ricky Morton could wrestle Arn. It didn't matter. We were all interchangeable, and that was the beauty of it.
Sam Houston has started to get a lot of time on TV here in the more recent handful of months. We'll call it December to now. And he's going to be getting a television title shot on the TBS show. And of course, you know that finish of that one. You're getting your hand raised. But then, fresh off that match, you're going to walk over to the podium and talk to Tony Schiavone. This happens April 12th, 1986.
Okay, Arn Anderson, the world TV champion, still the world TV champion, and Ric Flair said it right. Veteran, used your ring savvy to get that win over Sam Houston.
Houston, you had one shot at greatness. One shot at getting in the mainstream. My friend, I've sweat, I've bled, I've hurt, and you look into my eyes, and I tell you, I've earned the world television title. That means I beat guys like Rhodes, guys like Magnum, guys like Wahoo, Manny Fernandez, the list goes on. I get on national television, put my reputation on the line, all for this. Every week, the Jim Crockett Memorial Cup, Tony Schiavone, most prestigious title ever for a tag team, right? Well, Tully Blanchard and myself are going to New Orleans. Get off that jet, jump in that limousine. My friend, we're going to have a few cocktails. But when it gets time for business, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, whatever it takes, you rest assured, Tully Blanchard and myself, two of the Four Horsemen, will be reigning at the end of the night, $1 million richer. And in case you want to know where Ole is, my credibility is based on one thing. When I tell you something, it's going to happen. Ole Anderson will be back, period.
All right, you heard it from Arn Anderson, the world TV champion. We're coming right back.
I love that finish. You know, one of my other favorite promos that you did way back when, and our old pal and friend of the show, Dick Bourne over at MidAtlanticGateway.com showed it to me. It was an old line about, if you said that a June bug could pull a tractor trailer or something like that, hook him up.
If I tell you a piss ant can pull a freight train, hook it up.
The idea being you're only telling the truth. You're not going to be out here and speak out of turn or claim to do something or be something that you aren't or that you can't produce. And that's been the case so far. We'll see how it goes as you guys continue to march through April of 1986. All of those promos we just heard were from April 12th. That night, of course, we're in Charlotte at the Coliseum. It's a sellout. There's 12,000 people there. And when the show sold out, you guys decided to do a closed circuit viewing at the Charlotte Park Center and the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium. Think about what we're talking about here for everybody listening at home. This is not a television show. It's not a pay-per-view, but we've got so many fans here. We've sold out the Coliseum that we can now do closed circuit of this special event. And what a show it is. Ron Garvin and you are going to go to a 15-minute time limit draw. Garvin's going to punch you with his injured right hand during the closing moments. He's not able to make the cover before the time expired. And unbelievably, Tony Schiavone was the ring announcer for this show on that day. What do you remember about this big show where it was so big, we needed closed circuit opportunities and Tony's the ring announcer?
The fact that people not even seeing it live, you know what I mean? We're in other cities.
Yeah.
Watching it on TV. And I don't remember what the numbers were on those other two venues, but business was absolutely on fire.
The Charlotte Park Center had 600. I don't know how many were in the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium, but think about that. You've essentially got, listen, we've all been to the movies, maybe not much in the COVID era, but back in the day when you'd go down to the theater to see a movie, that's essentially what closed circuit was. But imagine 600 folks in there. That'd be a pretty big damn movie theater and packed because they couldn't get a ticket. And no, by the way, that's not the only one. It's also happening at the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium. Business here is white hot, especially in Charlotte.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at the chronological order of the towns you're going to, and, you know, by and large, you're looking at just huge arenas. You know, I want to pause it here for just a second. Because in March, just a short time ago, we were talking, I didn't want to end the show on a downer, but that was the month that I lost my grandmother.
Yeah.
And, you know, thank God I had the schedule that we had at that time, which was just plowing forward, because after I went back to Rome and buried her, had the service for her, cleaned out the little house that I grew up in and gave away most of the furniture and all that, and locked the doors and went back to Charlotte, went back to work after a couple of days, and it was no more than a couple of days. I was very thankful that things were the way they were as a distraction, and, you know, just the history that I had with her and my grandfather, which we've talked about several occasions, was one of the greatest blessings that God ever gave me, having them in my life. So I just wanted to address that. And so that I was being driven by, you know, for that next few months, just, it's a good way to forget if you go out and just, it's so deafening in the arena, you can't hear yourself think. And thank God I had that to get me through it.
It's cool that we get a peek into your real life and to talk about not only the stuff that we saw on camera, but behind the scenes. Let's get back on track. The Omni the next night, 5,300 folks, Manny Fernandez and you are going to go to a draw. I'm really struggling, Arn, with why you think, and I just want your opinion. Why do you think North Carolina's so hot for you to where you're not only selling out, but you're selling a ton of tickets for closed circuit. But Atlanta still seems kind of soft. 5,300 fans here in the Omni. That was a big old building.
I would suggest that when it was Ole's baby and Georgia Championship Wrestling was the territory, the Omni was once a month. We're running it a lot more frequently. Just looking, and the Omni popping up. I would say some months, a couple of times a month. It probably shouldn't have been ran as much as it was. And I still think that Jim Crockett Promotions was the home team. The Carolinas, that TV show, that company, they felt like was their home team. And they just really supported us. The Carolinas were they were bred on the Andersons and Wahoo and Dusty and Flair. And, that was their hometown heroes.
It's interesting to me to sort of break down what works, why it works, how it works, and all that jazz. I want to mention there's a television taping, Rock Hill, South Carolina on April 15th. And then you're back in Philadelphia in front of 7,000 fans on April 18th. And boy, how about this for a main event? The world champion, Ric Flair, the national heavyweight champion, Tully Blanchard, and the television champion, Arn Anderson, AKA All the Gold, taking on Dusty Rhodes, Ron Garvin, and Wahoo McDaniel. Man, in the main event with your brothers and the Horsemen, and everybody's wearing gold, and you're standing across from icons like Wahoo and Dusty Rhodes. This has got to be, the life you always dreamed, right?
Almost surreal. And Philadelphia being a blood and guts town like they are, great sports city. They like violence in that town, from their sports teams, the Broad Street Bullies and you name it. They loved the Horsemen at this particular point in time. And don't ask me why. It was still a split crowd, but we're going, we're leaning towards 50-50. And I think it was just because of us a different style from what had been presented to them over the years. That was a WWF town, and it had morphed into more entertainment. You can go get a ice cream bar at the concession stand with Hogan's face on it, lunch boxes, the whole thing, guys bringing animals to the ring. Right across town, you had the NWA, and it was fist fight, blood and guts, last one standing or last one surviving. And that's the product that we brought to Philly. And it was awesome. And to have Wahoo with his style and Ronnie Garvin with his style and, Dusty being who Dusty was, it was a rough 6-man fist fight.
And the dream continues. Literally, here's the American Dream on Mid-Atlantic TV talking about Arn Anderson on April 19th, 1986.
All right, fans, a pleasure now to have with us right here, Baby Doll and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
You just see the big chief, Wahoo McDaniel, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson. You're going to have to deal with us. That Indian strap match will cut you like a knife. And that bull rope will ding a few hairs. Me and this pretty lady stand out here nationwide going throughout this country right now. I've been talking about a lot of people for a lot of weeks, but I'm going to lay it right in your lap. Arn Anderson, I have now come to the conclusion in my mind and the fact of you running around with something that belongs to me. So from this point on, I want you to go to bed. I want you to wake up in the morning. I want you to do every waking hour knowing one thing, that Dusty Rhodes' American Dream is now after one thing and one thing only. I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm talking about the world's television title around your waist. We can cripple you. We can maim you. We can do whatever needs to be done. But the fact is, you got to deal with the fact that Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, wants his world's TV title back around his waist. Baby doll likes the luxury of traveling in class, no matter what it is. She loves being around a champion. She loves doing for a champion, being for a champion. And Arn Anderson, go to bed, wake up, and look around the room, because I have based my whole life in getting back at people that do wrong to the American Dream and American way of life. Arn Anderson, take it to the bank. The world's TV title is going to be around this chubby little plumber son from Austin, Texas waist before the month is out. That ain't no threat. That is just pure living life and loving it. And I'm going to tell you something else you got to remember. Tell your cousin Ric Flair this, talking about all the ladies. You can ask Dolly here. Until you've been kissed by the dream, baby, you ain't been kissed. And that's what it's all about.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes and Baby Doll. And fans, we'll be right back. We'll have more after we take this time out.
Dude, how great is Dusty?
I'm fixing to lose that TV title, Lorna.
I mean, it sounds like it to me.
Yeah. The jig is up. For him to make that promise on that TV that strong, I am in the crosshairs, fixing to lose that title. Some bitch.
I'm really excited to talk to you about Crockett Cup. Of course, we know it went down on April 19th, 1986. There was 2 shows that day. Interestingly enough, Bruce Pritchard was the ring announcer for the show. You've got talent from all over the country as a part of this tag team tournament. It's in New Orleans. It's at the Superdome, which obviously holds just a ton of people. The matinee show only has 3,000 folks there, though. You don't work that show. You work the evening show. There's 13,000 fans there. What'd you think of the concept of the Crockett Cup? What'd you think of working in the Superdome? And what'd you think when you heard that we only got 3,000 for the matinee? Has to be a little disappointing.
Yeah. And I would assume that would have been a separate charge for both shows.
That's right.
Well, there's the answer. You know, the other was what a matinee is supposed to be, a warm up for the evening show. And, 3,000 people, sometimes depending on size venue and size town, it will support it. It's a decent show, but it's pretty clear that people, I'm sure there were some that went to both shows, but certainly the big payoff was that night. The Superdome is so breathtaking. I mean, just to look at the size and scope of it, to walk in, you really feel small as a person walking around that Superdome. It is enormous. And, that's a lot of fans that night. Was something cool. They had it, sectioned off, curtained off, whatever it was, so that you couldn't see all the empty seats, but still that's a pretty damn good house for a wrestling event.
So 13,000 fans are here to see the UWF Tag Team Champions, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, take on yourself and Tully Blanchard. Now, even though you had been promoting yourself as, hey, it's going to be me and Flair in the tournament, of course, we know what winds up happening is you and Tully teaming up here. Rogers is going to pin you after Fulton drop kicks you behind the referee's back, and his partner falls on top for the win. You guys get 11 minutes, 28 seconds. We haven't spent a ton of time talking about Fulton and Rogers, probably one of the more underrated tag teams, but everyone listening to this knows how great you and Tully were. What'd you think of working with Bobby and Tommy?
Those guys were great. They really were. They were a good, very good team. They had been together for quite some time. I think they were huge underdogs going into this match. They had made the rounds as a team quite a bit. So they had, in those days, it was wrestling magazines where you got a lot of your information. There was no internet and all that yet. So, but they had a very good reputation as being an excellent team. Tully and I did not take them for granted whatsoever. And I think what you ended up is when and again, we're back in the victim role. I think they stole one on us. And once you had Anderson and Blanchard out of that tournament, it caused everybody to what they thought they were going to see that night. It all got shook up and went, oh, okay, wait a minute. That changes the dynamic of this entire tournament by us being eliminated.
Yeah.
So I think we're obviously we had to be the favorites, weren't we?
Well, I mean, I think they were saying you were the number 4 seed.
Bullshit.
That's why they issued it. But yeah, to fans at home, come on.
Yeah.
You're out of there. Believe it or not, you're only there for the day. I guess that's really not that shocking, but you're in Philadelphia on the 18th, the 19th, you're doing TV, right? And then a double shot, if you will, the matinee show at the Superdome and then the evening show at the Superdome, and the beat goes on. We're back to Greensboro and you're working second from the top, and it's going to be Dusty, Ricky, and Robert taking on Ric Flair, Tully, and Arn Anderson in an elimination match. Now, this to me feels like where the rubber meets the road, because there's been lots of interviews that Ricky and Robert have done over the years where they felt like Dusty was not exactly happy with how over they had gotten. He felt like maybe they had gotten more popular than he. Of course, Dusty never said that, but that's certainly the way Ricky and Robert felt over the years. But now they're all here in a 6-man. Do you remember Ricky and Robert ever having hurt feelings that you knew of with Dusty back in the day? Were they outward in discussing it, or is that something they probably just played real close to the vest?
Close to the vest. I mean, they were so red hot. I mean,
Yeah.
God almighty. I mean, the little girls would drown out the guys, and man, when they would come through the curtain, you could hear those shrill voices. Those guys were as hot as anybody at any point. You know, Dusty was over. But if they felt that way, that would have been something that was a very closed conversation, and very few people knew about it. I mean, there was nothing to complain about if you had a spot on that crew at that point in time, because, you know, the world was our pearl and
Right.
it was on fire.
You're going to continue the Fire Tour April 21st in Greensville, South Carolina. It's a TV taping. There you're actually going to fight Wahoo McDaniel to a double count out for TV. On the 24th, you're in Cambridge, Maryland at the Dorchester YMCA working with Wahoo. On the 25th, you're back in Richmond, Virginia. Once again, your opponent is Wahoo. And then we're doing TV again on the 26th. These Wahoo matches, boy, it's got to be a lot, because I imagine he's not doing a lot of the old up and down, but you are.
Yeah, I mean, it was my job. Nothing but respect for the man that Wahoo was, and the performer, and all those things. And for him paving the way, you know, for guys like me to have a job. And it was a tough night's work. And, you know, depending on how his shoulder was that way, you know, that particular day, he could hit you from here to here with that chop, and you never knew where it was coming. And if it caught you on the bridge of the nose, it wasn't because he couldn't aim it or he wasn't talented enough, because he damn sure was. It's just that his shoulder would not come up high enough, and you didn't know till it was too late. So it was a physical match every single time. One thing you can take note on this, Conrad, is Manny. The reason on most promos I would always bring up Manny's name too. That was my first angle on my first television with Jim Crockett. And a year later, a little bit over a year later, that thing still had, because in some of the markets, in some of the towns, that match had not yet made it there. So I know it sounded like, wait a minute, he's wrestling Manny again. In those days, you could shoot an angle and you'd have it for 4 or 6 months, because you had to make the entire loop and let all the towns not see it but once, maybe see it twice, maybe 3 times, till you got your money's worth out of it. So
let my family save your family some cash. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket, but we will save you money. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how much. SaveWithConrad.com. Let's let's make sure you're getting your money's worth. Let's go to the TBS show from April 26th. The Horsemen are here at the podium, and they're celebrating that you just got a win over Mr. Ligon. Let's take a listen.
Dylan and the three Horsemen, all champions.
With all due respect, we're going to break precedent today because your camera has now filled this picture with what is happening in professional wrestling today, and I think we can finish today's program, frankly, without you.
Fantastic, brother.
I would like to be the first to offer my congratulations to the world television champion Arn Anderson on another very impressive victory.
Thank you, James Julius. As indicative as you may be about everything, all I got to say in a closing note is everybody across this country wakes up every day trying and wanting to be somebody else. We're just happy being us.
Mr. Ric Flair, the world heavyweight champion.
I must add, before I get real serious here, that there's a whole bunch of women in New Orleans know why they call us the Three Horsemen. You understand? When we left town, they were all walking around in a day. Now, Ricky Morton, if you want to get Robert Gibson, and you want to get Dusty Rhodes, and you want to get Magnum PA, you get them all together, because you're talking about three bad white boys that know how to do it better than any three men alive. You're talking about the championship road. And with J.J. Dillon guiding this force, just like he leads us into all the big arenas, there's not one chance in all of God's green earth of you doing anything except getting your butt kicked. Woo!
I want to tell you, champ, when you're defending the gold all over the world, if the Rock and Roll Express want to bite off some of the Horsemen, Mr. Tully Blanchard and Mr. Arn Anderson would be pleased to accommodate them in any arena anywhere in the world, wouldn't you say?
You know, sitting back here, Arn said it all, Rick said it all. But, you know, you think of one description that covers all three of us. You know, we are rich women's lovers and poor girls' dreams.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's about it for this edition of World Championship
That girl that
Wrestling.
was calling me secretariat as I walked out the door.
For Tony Schiavone, for David Crockett, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Was Rick having fun or what?
100%. And I think, Tully, that was a little bit of plagiarism on the end there. He didn't make that up, did he?
Well, it was probably inbred in him.
Can't say that, and it never happened. And by the way, that's your father-in-law.
Hey,
Are you aware of that?
Hey.
Are you aware of that? Do you ever stop and go, damn, that's my father-in-law?
Now, here's the thing on that deal. You know, for years and years, you were his best friend, and you had a choice in the matter. I kind of didn't on that deal. He just came as part of the package, you know? So I'm saying that's more on you.
Is that like a Hershey bar, the big one with and almonds? Was that what you're talking about? Because the regular Hershey bar is nothing like the one with almonds.
You know, I'm not a big Hershey guy, so I don't know I don't know that I've had the one with almonds. I've just had the regular.
The chocolate's upgraded. Everything about it is it's a different candy bar. So you may say that, but it was like, okay.
I'm just saying.
He was having a blast always.
And so was Tully. And so was Jade. It comes through the screen that you guys are having fun, and you kept the fun going in Baltimore. Ron Garvin and you are going to be wrestling there. Fair to say that afterwards you guys went to Sabatino's?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What was your go-to order at Sabatino's? Do you remember? I think Flair told me once he got Fruity de Mar or whatever. It's the pasta with a bunch of seafood.
Fav Diavolo.
Oh, there you go.
Fruity de Mar.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I think so.
He might have had. Yeah. You know, I got the Fav Diavolo. We always got an extra order of the garlic bread because the cloves of garlic was about like your thumbnail. And I mean, it was outstanding. Shrimp scampi, oysters, Rockefeller.
I want to mention though, Sabatino's was the way things were. Jimmy's Famous Seafood is the way things are these days when you get to Baltimore. Tell them Arn and
Snap
Conrad.
out of it. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I haven't been there yet. I look forward to going to Jimmy's.
Oh, wait. Have you never had anything from there?
No, it's my mistake.
Oh, I can fix that. John's listening right now, and I got your home address. So there's going to be something show up that Aaron's going to be real excited about.
Outstanding. Thanks to everybody.
Yeah.
I like to eat.
Well, you're going to love Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Let me just tell you. And I love, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I love talking about you in one of these bull rope Indian strap matches. That's what you're doing again in Cleveland against Dusty and Wahoo. Man, that just feels like the longest day ever. But then they do something kind of fun that we haven't talked about for a little bit. The old JCP/AWA joint show. You guys run the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Unfortunately, only 5,000 fans are there. But next to last, it's a cage match with Arn and Dusty. The Meadowlands. What a space. What a venue. And it's a super show. JCP and the AWA. What do you remember about this?
I remember that it was a Vince town and they were very loyal and they did not come out to see the bad guys and everyone else was the bad guys. 5,000 in that building is not good. Looked like fleas on a beach. Not good because that is a huge arena.
Fleas on a beach. One last show in the month of April. It's going to happen on the last day of the month, April 30th, Dorton Arena. That's going to be you and Ron Garvin. And that's going to bring April to a close, man. But May is going to be next week here on the program. You're going to be taking on Nighthawk, a name we haven't talked about a lot here on the show, but we'll get into that. Of course, you're going to be in some action with Dusty Rhodes, Wahoo McDaniel, the Rock and Roll Express. We're going to hear lots of great promos. We're going to have some TV tapings. You're even going to be in singles action with Robert Gibson. So lots of interesting stuff happening in the month of May of 1986 and lots of interesting stuff happening over at adfreeshows.com. You get all of our programs early and ad free. You get bonus content every single month. Lots of interactive stuff where you get to do a live Zoom with Arn. Ask any question you want. But you don't just get to do it with Arn. You get to do it with Kurt Angle and Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett and Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. And you see where we're going with this. It's the best bang for your buck. It's adfreeshows.com. And again, you get your RSS feed, meaning wherever you enjoy your podcast right now, you get to listen to these programs commercial free and early. Plus you get the video from our shows, all the old Starcasts. And I don't know that you've seen it yet, Arn, but I just did a sit down interview with Jerry Jarrett. It's a 2-parter. It's about 4 hours in total, but we get to talk about a who's who of professional wrestling. And I know you necessarily didn't come through Memphis, but by God, it feels like everybody else did. Of course, the established names like Ric Flair and Andre the Giant, but people who were breaking in too. Hulk Hogan got his start there. Of course, Sting was there early in his career. So was the Ultimate Warrior. Oh, how about Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, on and on and on. It's a who's who with Jerry Jarrett. Did you ever get to spend any time with Mr. Jarrett?
I didn't, but he was a staple of the industry for forever. It was a place you could go. It was a place you could go. If you got over, you could stay. If you were a baby face and you got over and you sell your own merch, you could make a damn nice living. So it was a very stable part of the industry. I've been in the room with him a couple of times and just enough to say, how are you, sir? Da, 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 da. Much respect for, being the huge part of the wrestling industry that he has been. A lot of guys have been through there. The names, the list is incredible. So
it really is. Check it out. It's exclusive to adfreeshows.com. And we're going to ask some questions that you've probably never heard before. We're going to talk a lot about hypothetical situations and of course, a ton of talk about the NWA and how he got his promotion, just the behind the scenes of being a wrestling promoter, and some really fantastic stories that involve Arn Anderson type of weaponry. That's right. There's gun talk in the new Conversations with Conrad. Check it out. It's over at adfreeshows.com. And by the way, if you've got a question for our show here, maybe a question about Arn and the good old days, you can always interact with us on Twitter at the Arn Show. That's the best way to follow everything happening with Arn. And that's where you can catch him for all of his social media at the Arn Show. If you're looking for one of the new shirts that everybody's posting on social media, that's over at arnshirts.com. And if you're trying to introduce our show to the wrestling fan in your life, or maybe you're looking for a specific clip, you just remember something and want to hear it again, maybe it entertained you or made you laugh, it's arnshow.youtube.com. And we'll see you next week, talking all things May of 1986, right here on Arn. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.